A recession is coming very, very soon. And I know this because every single retail store that I have been in over the past month has such an overstock of everything. I've never seen so much clutter in my life. First being Home Goods, Marshalls, TJ Maxx. They have so much stuff from Halloween, which is in 3 days, that hasn't moved. And regardless of the promotions, the clearance, the discounts, people are not shopping. I went to Old Navy yesterday to return something, and they had so many extra racks on wheels that they brought up to put the extra inventory that if the fire marshal went into Old Navy's, they would find them. You couldn't even walk through, truthfully. I had to squeeze between two of the racks. I have never seen such overstock before. And historically, when we've had like a dicey economic climate, people still spend money on themselves. They still shop and they still spend money on beauty services, even if they can't afford it because it makes them feel better. This time, I'm telling you, this time is very different. People are not shopping. That stuff is not moving off of the racks. And it's going to be very interesting to see how this affects like Black Friday deals and things like that. And obviously, we have bigger issues in the world. This is like stuff, right? It has no general importance. But I feel like in the past, when we've had rough things going on, people were still buying that stuff.
You can't go by how you feel, right? She's saying how she feel instead of going based off of the facts. And the reality is that every single year you see an overstock of Halloween stuff on the shelves, and that's not the determination of whether or not we're in a recession, or we're going towards a recession. Recession indicators are more closely tied to the job market, is more tied to usually there's something big that happens. So there's an economic collapse. You had the pandemic. You can go to the 2008 housing crisis. I think a better recession indicator is how many people are getting their cars repossessed. But even in that, there's a lot of choice that goes into that because you're talking about inflation, you're talking about the Fed not lowering basis points to the extent that they are, and that they only lowered it 25 basis points instead of lowering it 50 or even 75 basis points. You're talking about affordability, right? I think that we have an affordability crisis that we haven't recovered from the pandemic, because if you remember, again, the Biden administration had 9 and 10% inflation and sometimes higher, depending on where you were inside of the United States of America. So whereas inflation shot up and then it leveled off between 2 and 3% now, our earning power still hasn't reached the parity that we need with regard to the inflation that we experienced back in 2021, 22, and 23. So we still recovering from that.